the theory of the Pre-Adamic Earth. Thus far, science has failed to present sufficient concrete evidence to prove the origin, the systematical development by a definite Yahweh-given pattern, purpose and final destiny of the universe. Neither have the theological exponents of the sacred scriptures been able to do so with any dependable degree or scientific accuracy or intellectual infallibility. For example, some of our theological commentators on the sacred scriptures express the belief that there was a pre-Adamic earth created and inhabited by a human race of people and destroyed before the creation of Adam. The subject is introduced in explanatory theological writings under the caption Original or Pre-Adamic Earth. This theological idea was conceived and based on Genesis 1 verse 1, which reads as follows: "In the beginning Elohim created the heaven and the earth." The foregoing quotation is offered and is supposed by the proponents of the doctrinal idea to be the original or pre-Adamic earth with the previously created human inhabitants therein. For some reason, presumably sin, the exponents of this theological idea aim to show that Elohim overthrew the original or pre-Adamic earth by using the second verse in Genesis to prove their point, which reads as follows: "And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of Elohim moved upon the face of the waters." Genesis 1 verse 2. If we are to abide by the rules of correct implementation of language and punctuation, we are definitely compelled to disagree with the idea of supplemental disposition of unwritten words between the first and second verses of Genesis to modify the correct reading to prove non-scriptural, unsupported theological theory. To us, the correct way to read and understand the first and second verses of the first chapter of Genesis are as follows. Notice that the first verse and first sentence, "In the beginning Elohim created the heaven and the earth," ends with a period. The second verse and second sentence begins with the word "and," which is an articulation or conjunction that joins together the first and second verses of Genesis 1 verses 1 to 2 to complete this thought. Hence, the second verse is Moses' actual description of the condition which the atmospherical heaven, not heavens, and physical earth was in when they were spontaneously created in the realm of eternity. That is to say, the atmospherical heaven had no cosmic light, neither did it have luminous physical objects such as the sun, moon and stars. Likewise, the physical earth first appeared in its inorganic and inanimate state, as Moses also indicates in his vision as stated in the second verse, Genesis 1 verse 2. As heretofore stated, Moses, while within the cloud atop Mount Sinai, during his first trip up into the mountain, saw Elohim, in a vision, creating the heaven and the earth, day by day in logical sequence during the first 6 solar days of this vision. Whereupon, the creation having been finished, Elohim rested the 7th day or the Sabbath, from his work of creation, and therefore, John states that he was on the Isle of Patmos on the Sabbath day or the 7th day, which is the same day that Moses states that Elohim rested from his work of creation. Moses having seen Elohim, the beginning of creation, and John having seen the Messiah in his vision of the same Elohim on the 7th day, the ending, which, for this reason, we say that Moses was looking from beginning to ending and John was looking from ending to beginning to complete, or to confirm the fulfillment of all things which were written in the law and the prophecies, Luke 24 verse 44, which were done by the Elohim or Yahshua the Messiah to manifest his entire purpose and plan through the dispensations and ages, or from the beginning to the ending thereof. The esoteric secret and profound mystery of Yahweh, revealed to the apostles. It is true that the angels of the invisible realm and the patriarchs and prophets of the visible realm in the past dispensations and ages saw visions, spoke and wrote under the influence of a higher power. But, it is quite clear to the divine, philosophical and scientific mind that the great esoteric, secret of secrets, and profound, mystery of mysteries of Yahweh was not understood by them, Colossians 1 verses 26 to 27. That is to say, it was hid in Yahweh and not revealed unto them in its utter simplicity, 1 Peter 1 verses 1 to 12. According to biblical chronology, the flood or deluge took place in the year of 1656 AM after the finished creation, or 2348 BY. The vocation of the patriarch Abraham begins 427 years after the flood. Yahshua the Messiah said to the Jews, "Before Abraham was, I am," John 8 verse 58. In confirmation of the above statement of the Messiah, the apostles John and Paul stated that Yahshua the Messiah, of whom Moses and the prophets wrote, Luke 24 verse 44, was Yahweh Elohim himself manifested in the flesh, John 1:1-4, 14, 1 Timothy 3 verse 16. Therefore, before the beginning creation and many centuries before the days of his flesh, Exodus 24 verses 10-11, he was the ultimate and original source from which all esoteric, secrets and profound mysteries had their beginning. As such, he, Yahweh Elohim, is the source substance and the creator of all so-called inanimate objects or things and living creatures, visible and invisible. Whereas, in the days of his flesh, he knew and understood all things. According to the biography of his life, in the days of his flesh, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, he proved this inescapable truth by the infinite wisdom wherewith he taught the people and by the many miracles which Yahweh performed through him, Yahshua. As for Yahshua's teaching, in the days of his flesh, it went 1,000,000 miles over the heads of the Sanhedrin Council, teachers of Israel, and the multitudes. Today, nearly 2,000 years hence, it is still as far over the heads of so-called Christendom. If this was not true, the world of mankind would have become reconciled unto Yahweh and among themselves in the beginning of the Christian era and remain so unto this day. As for his miracles which Yahweh performed through him, he turned water into wine, told men their unexpressed thoughts, healed the sick, raised the dead, walked on the water, fed the multitudes, caused the fig tree to wither and stilled the tempest. Later on you will learn that Yahshua the Messiah performed these miracles by universal spirit law and according to the divine pattern of the universe. Yahshua the Messiah fulfilled the law and the prophets, Luke 24 verse 44, and told his disciples that they would receive the Holy Spirit from Elohim after his departure out of the flesh, which would reveal the secrets of the Most High El unto them and impart knowledge and understanding of the mystery of his way and will. After the ascension of the Messiah, Elohim did reveal the great secrets of secrets and mystery of mysteries to the chosen disciples of the Messiah. Thereafter, they knew by the divine pattern and the law of commandments in the Ark the Covenant, that there was in existence an archetype pattern of the universe with a spirit law embodied therein. They understood the silent but powerful, perpetual, routine function and operations of the universal spirit law in relative coordination with the archetype pattern. Since then, however, few others, if any, have ever received a full profound knowledge of the existence of the archetype pattern and thoroughly understood the perpetual, routine operation of the spirit law by which the universe was methodically created and perpetually controlled, thereafter, with unerring accuracy. The universal ontological argumentation in favor of the existence of a supreme being. To speak directly of the masses of people on the earth plane, it would be absurd to say here that mankind, from his very earliest inception in the past ages, did not believe in the existence of the supreme being of his imagination, simply because of his expressions and manifested ignorance of the eternal existence of the true pattern and spirit law of the universe and the fundamental principles involved in the operations of the spirit law embodied therein. Even though we do have many professed skeptics, atheists, agnostics and infidels in this present age, the attested truth and scientifically proven facts in the case are as follows. 1. Many sacred historians or biblical writers including the ancient, medieval and modern, or from Enoch, the seventh from Adam and Moses, the celebrated writer, not author, of the Pentateuch, and to the confirmatory book of Revelation written by John the Apostle, speaking of the creation and activities of man even in his primitive and also most advanced state give rise to the conviction as well as the final conclusion that man actually was created with sufficient intellectual capacities. He was imbued with the intelligence and power to reason, a disposition to fear and serve, and an instinct to believe in the eternal existence of a supreme being, who was and remains far more superior in power and intelligence than man himself. In fact, the Apostle Paul agreed with one of the Grecian poets or philosophers that we are the offspring of Elohim, Acts 17 verse 28. 2. Likewise, many profane historians and philosophers including the ancient, medieval and modern, from Herodotus to H.G. Wells and from Confucius to those of today, speaking of the created state of primitive man in reference to his belief in the eternal existence of a supreme being, lead directly to the same convictions and final conclusions as those of the sacred writers. 3. To add to the abundance of testimony already given, the American and British archaeological expeditionary forces, searching here and there or wherever prehistoric beasts or men are thought to have existed, have unearthed plenty of incontestable evidence that since man's inception, in every age, he has exercised faith in the existence of a supreme being. The discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls in L947 and the information stipulated in them further lends credibility and support to our argument that men always did believe in the existence of a supreme being. So, we understand, according to the records, it is not the idea that mankind does not believe in the existence of a supreme being. We find that it is true that he has had many conceptions and imaginations regarding what he has thought and now thinks Yahweh or God is, hence, the rise of the polytheistic, pantheistic and monotheistic conceptions of Yahweh. These are about the oldest theories which attempt to explain and impart some knowledge of the great Elohim and creator of the universe. Many new religious theories are being born every year while millions of people throughout the world are becoming more and more confused. As heretofore stated, some have given up the search for Yahweh in despair, professing to be skeptics, atheists, agnostics and infidels. They take this attitude because they are unable to find Yahweh for themselves or reconcile themselves to honestly believe in the unknown Elohim and the dogmatic religious philosophy and deception of the masses. Others are pressing on, leaving no stone unturned, honestly searching for Yahweh with renewed determination. Among this group are some of the world's most brilliant academically trained scientists. Many of these scientists, equipped with an expansion of intelligence and new or recently improved mechanical instruments, are laboring in every field of modern research. They are attempting to further explore the material and psychical realm, hoping to find Yahweh and solve the unexplained, mysterious riddle of the universe. It is generally believed that when the true Yahweh is universally known as he actually exists, all strife, confusion, bloodshed, poverty, sickness and death will utterly vanish from the earth. With this glorious thought in mind, many of these scientists have defied death. Some have lost or freely given their lives trying to wrest the fundamental secret of life from the universe for the benefit of suffering humanity. For example, what about astronautical space invasion and oceanography? Failing to understand the secret manifestation of Elohim in the material realm, many trained psychologists have turned their attention to the psychical realm. These trained investigations and carefully planned experiments, although not yet complete in every detail, have led to the birth and establishment of the new psychological religions of the past few years. It would be a serious mistake to confuse this new philosophical psychology with the old materialistic psychology. They are as far removed from each other as the planets. Let us pause here and briefly review some of the basic teaching of the new psychology. The basic teaching of the new psychology. Authors note, we will use the title God through this article for understanding and clarity of explanation. From what I am able to understand, many of these modern, academically trained famous psychologists have already gone on record believing and teaching that God is a threefold mind. They do not all call the major part of the great mind by the same name. It is also true that they do not all agree on a few minor details involved in the ramified functions of this great mind, but on the main issues at hand they are well agreed. Some of their presumptions are as follows. 1. There is presumed to be a conscious mind in existence. It is supposed to operate through the senses, sight, taste, touch, smell, hearing, etc. The conscious mind is referred to as the vibratory or creative thought chamber of the physical body where ideas are formed. Hence, all voluntary functions of our physical bodies and everything else connected with our material existence is said to be under the direct control of the conscious mind. This means that our homes, our business and all other conscious functions of our bodies are controlled or conducted by the conscious mind. There are other functions attributed to the conscious mind, but neither time or space will permit us to discuss them here. 2. There is also presumed to be a subconscious mind in existence. The subconscious mind and the conscious mind are said to be joined together. The subconscious mind has no conscience. Therefore, it is claimed that the subconscious mind is not a respecter of persons. We are also informed that the great subconscious mind is far more ethereal and powerful in its operations than the conscious mind. It is said to have complete charge and control of all involuntary bodily functions such as breathing, heartbeat, and the digestion and assimilation of food, the building of new cells for reparation of the physical body and restoring of mentality, which has been impaired by illness or injury. The subconscious mind is presumed to be the source of great wisdom and power. We are told that there is nothing that it cannot or will not do once its wisdom and power has been invoked. It receives ideas, which are sent down to it by the conscious mind. We are informed that once an idea is registered in the subconscious mind, it will leave no stone unturned until it has brought into actual manifestation the things which are laid upon it to do. Further, it is claimed that many cases of diseases, heretofore pronounced incurable by medical science, have been miraculously healed. We are told that the lame have been made to walk and sight restored to the blind. The new discoveries of scientists and inventors, the successful career of professional and business persons, the rising in rank of the ordinary people and the accumulation of wealth in abundance and supreme happiness, all is said to be the materialization of ideas impressed upon the great subconscious mind. 3. Still deeper down there is presumed to be a universal mind in existence. The universal mind and the subconscious mind are said to be joined together. Instead of referring to this mind as the universal mind, some of the psychologists call it the great oversoul, cosmic consciousness, superconsciousness, supersonic mind, subliminal mind, infinite mind, etc. In fact, there are over 170 different scientific and professional names that have been applied to the major operation part of this great mind. Nevertheless, the name universal mind is very popular and quite frequently used by many of the modern psychologists. It is supposed to be the great master mind of the universe that embraces and sustains all life, whether it be vegetable, animal, human, or otherwise. In fact, we are told by some psychologists that every cosmic phase of nature is some or other expression of the great universal mind. Moreover, it is said to be infinite in intelligence, wisdom, and power. Therefore, it is from the universal mind that the subconscious mind draws or receives its wisdom and power. Further, we are told that it is, within itself, far more ethereal and powerful in its functions and operations than the subconscious mind. Whereas, the multifarious ramifications of the great universal mind are far too complicated to even attempt to fully explain herein. Nevertheless, the determination of these modern psychologists in their effort to find and know God is not to be ignored or taken in a passive way. The academically trained, scientific psychologists of today are far too wise to form definite opinions or reach final conclusions before exhausting every means of scientific research within their power to command. Therefore, their disclosures demand the respect and serious attention of the public. However, many of these psychologists are not thoroughly satisfied in every respect with their present understanding and knowledge of the psychical realm, but they have not given up the search in despair. The progress is slow, but the search still continues to press on towards the cherished goal. To briefly summarize the present paramount objectives of the exponents of the new psychological religions of today, they are still trying to further penetrate and explore the psychical realm, analyze and give a concise, understandable definition of what the combined conscious, subconscious and universal mind really is. Accurately describe or explain the fundamental principles involved in the classifications and the ramified, departmental functions of this threefold mind. If and when this task is accomplished, they hope and fully expect to discover the one and only true God and Creator of the universe. Know where, when, why or what He really is. They fully expect to learn and understand His manifestations, invoke His almighty power, freely partake of His infinite wisdom and intelligence, which will enable them to reveal His identity to the masses. Thus, in this way, they, like the rest of the great scientific and philosophical-minded leaders, hope to completely abolish forever the present prevailing stupendous ignorance of his ever-presence, and lift the nations of the earth plane out of the quagmire of ritualism and religious deception and become permanently established in universal righteousness, peace and joy, which is the true kingdom of God. Romans 14 verse 17. Failure of the modern, new psychological religions. These modern psychologists have gone a long way up the road through their investigations of the psychical realm. They have come close to finding the eternal, living Creator. However, they have made three great mistakes that have impeded the progress. 1. Their failure to use the divine given pattern, Exodus 25 verse 40, Hebrews 8 verse 5. 2. That of leaving the biblical, messianic definition of God, Elohim is spirit, and John 4 verse 24, in the background. And 3. Believing and teaching that there is a universal mind, instead of a universal spirit. Acknowledgement is made without hesitation that there are many modern schools of this kind and a great number of teachers in the world that are far more capable than this author to intelligently expound their views on this and other secular subjects. Nevertheless, up to this present time they have been unable to impart a clear, concise and understandable definition of what the great intangible and ethereal, so-called conscious, subconscious and universal mind really is. Neither have they proven by the divine pattern that it is what they think or say that it is. Psychologists and teachers have failed to point out and thoroughly explain where, when and how the conscious, subconscious and universal minds really work in relation to each other sufficiently for persons of average intelligence to conscientiously recognize his or its presence and sincerely appreciate its benefits. Neither have they successfully proven that this great ethereal, so-called universal mind possessed the infinite power of systematical materialization or transmutation in totality or in either of its two distinctive parts. By transmutation or metamorphosis, I mean the power or possibility of manifestation or apparent change from one substance, form, nature or species into another, and in the process of this series of changes, maintain perfect and absolute control in each and every phase or state of existence. From what we are told of the universal and subconscious mind, both are far too limited to possess these infinite qualities.